Special. Listen to the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders live every Tuesday night after WWE Smackdown, 10 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker.com for all the very latest in great talk of wrestling, entertainment, pop culture news, and beyond, along with some kick-ass interviews with some special guests. 10 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker.com every Tuesday night. Can't catch the show live? You can scoop it up on demand and on the downloads on great platforms such as Google Play, Spreaker, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and on YouTube. Just use the keywords The RCWR Show.
Yo, it's your boy JTG, aka the author of Damn Why'd I Write This Book, and you are listening to RCWR Show. Yo!
Well, Byron Saxton standing by with Braun Strowman's opponent here tonight.
I'm standing here with Johnny Knockout, and Johnny, you've seen what Braun Strowman is capable of. Why on earth are you doing this?
Because I like big, sweaty men.
Johnny Knockout, how you doing, man?
Oh, I am fantastic. I think the question today is, how are you, Lee?
I've had better days, but it will get better in due time.
It just got better, buddy. You know what's going to make it even better than that?
You, right?
I don't know. I could think of 3 words. I mean, that goes without saying, but I can think of 3 words, but maybe we'll get into that later.
Well, heck, we can get into it right now. Just remind the folks, what's those 3 words?
I love you? No, that's not it. It's definitely not itchy jockstrap. Definitely not that. No. How about Dunkin' Donuts coffee? No. I got it. It's Big Sweaty Men.
Big
Is
sweaty
that what you were
man.
thinking?
I was thinking that actually.
Oh,
Yeah. Big sweaty man. My God. I gotta ask you straight up, man, how has it been for you with the recent reactions from the WWE fans? Because you gave them, without a doubt, a memorable segment there right before you faced Braun Strowman.
It was definitely unexpected. I didn't think social media was going to go nuts over it. I'm not the biggest social media guy. In fact, when I heard about, I have an Instagram. I didn't have the Facebook and the Twitter. I had it prior, and I had a lot of people on it too, but I deactivated it, then I deleted it, and then somebody on one of my Instagram posts wrote, "Dude, you're trending." And to me, I always I don't bat an eye at all this trending stuff in the past, and then I was just like, well, let me look into this. What is this trending stuff? Is it really a thing? And I saw all these posts with my name hashtagged and the Big Sweaty Men hashtagged, and I'm like, wow, this is a thing. I was like, this is something I'm going to need to, capitalize on. So I opened the Twitter, I opened back up my Facebook, and I'm starting from scratch. But the reaction's been pretty good. I didn't think anything of it. I just, did what I felt was right at the moment, like I always do, and dude, it worked out. So I'm happy about that for everybody, Everybody
Right
seems to get a kick out of it. So.
Right on. Now, you come off as a rather tall guy yourself from what I've seen of you on TV. And then also as I was preparing for this conversation with you, I was looking up some of your matches, but I'm just picturing you right next to Braun Strowman, and it just really comes off like the TV doesn't do this guy justice. Just how freakish of a physique and height and all that does he have in person?
Yeah, you said it very good. The TV doesn't do it justice. Standing next to the guy, especially when he's pretty angry, and I heard he didn't eat lunch that day, so I certainly wasn't going to be his lunch, so I went on the attack. But standing next to him, yeah, the dude's a big guy, man. I mean, that's an understatement. And I would say you'd have to meet him to experience that. But he's country big too. He's big, he's thick, and but it's all good, man. I'm ready for anybody. The bigger, the better. The bigger, the sweatier, the better.
Now, to me, He comes off, for the most part, very smooth in the ring, because I've actually been watching a bit of his stuff since he's debuted on the main roster for a while now. I can think of like previous big guys that were like a little bit, what's the right word I'm looking for? A little bit rough around the edges, but it seems like anybody that he's been working with, even up to this point, his work has been pretty solid. I know you were only in there with him just briefly, but did he come off pretty well-rounded to you as well?
Oh, yeah. The guy's a total pro. In order to be on a stage like WWE, you have to be a pro. He's got to know how to move in that ring. You know, I like a physicality. You know, that's the whole reason I got into professional wrestling or sports entertainment in the first place. You know, I like to entertain people, but I like the physicality of it. So he's fluid in the ring, I could say that. But, I mean, he's fluid up until the point where you're getting hit. I mean, it's like a Mack truck, man. But that's cool, man. I say bring it, you know.
Right, right.
Going to what you're saying, yeah, total pro, as am I, you know. So it was a good mix.
Now, I'm sure up to this point you've probably been hearing about this, but like many fans have seen some of their favorite wrestlers in interviews over the years talk about how much WWE is very heavy on scripted promos. Most recent comments include the WWE World Champion Dean Ambrose, who just wants bullet points and can make the rest happen once he gets out there. That segment that you had with Strowman, it felt very organic, like a straight up shoot. Was it, or does credit need to be given to the writers?
I would say that I went out there and I said what I felt. I said what was on my mind in the moment, and I just went with it. And I mean, who doesn't love big, sweaty men? Am I right? I mean, look, when we work out and we're getting all big and vascular and we're all sweated up, we're putting out some hard work, man. Women, I mean, come on. You know how many women have come up to me and said, "Oh, I love big, sweaty men too." And I'm like, "Oh, good, high five it." You know, no, man, it's all good. I said what I felt, and I'm glad I did. You know, I've been watching these big sweaty men since I'm 4 years old. It started with Jake the Snake, and I've been loving them ever since. I'm one of them. There's nothing wrong with scrapping, two big sweaty men scrapping it up and see who can come out as the victor. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, without a doubt. Without a doubt. You just mentioned a WWE legend, and you know what? Before we can even continue, I think it only serves right that we definitely give that nod to the late Mr. Fuji, who we found out passed over the weekend. Any fond memories for you of Mr. Fuji?
Oh, yeah. First of all, I would think, and I quoted it the other day, I said, basically, true villains are those who truly stand in opposition of our heroes. Bret Hart was my favorite of all time. And when I heard of the passing of Mr. Fuji, first thing I thought, that visual, was of him throwing the salt in the eye of Bret when he was at WrestleMania 9. He had Yokozuna in that sharpshooter. And I was like, that's it. He's winning this title. And when Mr. Fuji got in, I was like, SOB, you know?
Yeah.
So, Mr. Fuji had a lot of great memories, man. He stood the test of time, too. He was 82, but, I mean, he was still talked about, to this year. He's like one of the best. So, I think there would always be fond memories. I grew up watching the guy. So it's sad to hear of his passing. But, I think I didn't know him personally, but it seems to me that he lived a good, fulfilled life. So I'm happy about that. And I think all we could do now is just keep his memory going. Maybe I could add some of those traits into my matches down the line in the future. We'll see. You know, I'll do anything to him. You know, salt, powder, pepper, garlic, anything.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Rest in peace, Mr. Fuji. Long, fruitful life. That's a good way to go out, man. Nice, long, prosperous life. You know, going back to that segment that you were in, the timing of your words in that segment was like spot on perfect, because I'm sure you've noticed this. There's been like a little small minority of fans that felt that segment was a subliminal nod to the series of interviews WWE CBO Stephanie McMahon has given addressing future of regular LGBTQ storylines and characters, perhaps one day coming into the fold of this modern PG era in their programming. I got a two-part question for you. The first part, how does it make you feel to be attached to something important like that to a minority of fans that basically want more diversity in their TV viewing habits? And then the second question, some of these millennials, they tend to overreact to the least littlest things they find offensive. You know what I mean? Like, a good example is 1985's Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. When you pay attention to the second verse of the song, back then, for those of us that grew up on that, we didn't think anything much of that word that was used in the song. But like, you fast forward to now, you look at the context, you look at the tone, you look at the interpreting, it's all lost with some of the millennials. There's like a lot of unnecessary political correctness going on. But what's your take on both of those parts?
Well, first I want to say, Lee, that is a fantastic, excellent question. And, I think it needs to be addressed. And I'm going to do so right now. Like I said, it's something that I felt inside. It's something that I felt needed to, just felt right in the moment. As far as the feedback on the LGBT awareness and all that, I didn't consider it when I said it. Having said it, I understand that there are a lot of varying opinions out there. I'm not going to say that that's why I said it. I'm not going to say that that's not why I said it. Mm-hmm. But I went out there, I felt what I felt, and the way I look at things, Lee, is that I don't care if you're purple, I don't care if you're red, black, white, yellow, gay, lesbian, transsexual, heterosexual. I don't care what you are, man, woman, child, all alike. I'm cool with everybody. I like everybody, and I give everybody a fair and fighting chance, just as long as you're a good person and you're not trying to hurt anybody. So if this brings more attention to the LGBT, then I say I'm all for it. I mean, it's not a bad thing to have, a group of people on your side, no matter where it's from. Like I said, whether it's a man, whether it's a woman, whether it's a child, that's three demographics that if I could, somehow reach them and show support, then good. Then what else can you ask for in life, I'm all about support. I'm all about, making people feel like they mean something. I love to entertain people, and, so if I could do that and encapsulate it all into one, then great. And as far as the second part of your question about, this being like the millennials and politically correct generation, I'm not really for politically correct. Although, I mean, if you're on a platform where, come on, you have little kids watching, then I'm all for it when it comes to that, because I love kids. You know what I mean? I want to set a good example for them. I think leadership by example is very important, especially in my life, and sometimes it's lacking in others. And so if I could be at the forefront in that in any capacity, then I'm all for it. And I don't think people should get offended, but if they do, everybody has a right to their opinion. But I would say look a little bit deeper below the surface and don't just rush to judgment and try to see how it suits you. That's basically how I can. That's the short end version of that. So I tend to be long winded at times. I'm from New York originally. I'm a trash talker by nature, but if I could just sum it up, that's how I would do it.
Awesome.
I'm all for it, man. Everybody, come on, man. I got enough room I got enough room here to satisfy everybody.
Right on. Have you gone to the WWE Performance Center yet?
Yes.
Because
I had a tryout with them.
Because I was going to ask you, I remember you were down there in their, what was it, FCW, correct?
Correct. That's where I got my initial training at.
Okay, yeah. Can you, do me a solid, and for the listeners, can you, talk about your experience with the new Performance Center versus when you were down there in FCW, how they might be different, possibly the same overall?
Oh, absolutely. I'd be happy to. When FCW first started up, they were coming from Deep South and OVW down in Louisville, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And that's where I was slated to go. I was thinking about that. And then when I had finally made a decision on moving and, getting properly trained, I heard about FCW. And so I did. So I went down there and I relocated. I took my whole upbringing from New York. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, and I moved to Tampa, Florida. And, my experience is that I checked the place out. The first person I ran into, is everybody ready for this? It was Bray Wyatt. And this was before he changed his name to Bray Wyatt, but he greeted me. He was it stood out in my mind because he was like the first guy that I met and like the first impression I had of FCW. And he's a great person, I dig him. And, a lot of stuff I see on TV, I gotta say, I relate to that. He's quite the craftsman when it comes to mind games. So basically I had my training there. I was trained by Steve Kern, formerly known as Skinner, and Norman Smiley, Mr. Wiggle himself. I'm doing a shameless wiggle right now. I don't know. We're radio here, so people can't see it. Sorry about that. And, it was a good time. We learned all the fundamentals and learned about cutting promos on the fly, just saying what's on your mind. If you go back before when you were talking about Dean Ambrose and like give him a bullet point and he'll go off, I'm right there with that. I relate to that guy and, so we learned a lot in FCW. I met a few people there and I got my training and then that was it. Then we had a tryout that I was a part of in a class of 63 people. A lot of the guys that were part of that tryout, some of them you could see on WWE TV today and other companies. And as Ring of Honor and TNA, New Japan. So, I was amongst a good group. We met Dusty Rhodes. He was doing the promo class for the tryout. That was awesome. And, it was a learning experience. And that was actually one guy made it out of there with a contract, and that was, you know him today, it's Tyler Breeze. So, he was Lance Storm's student. He was ready, more ready than everybody, or maybe he was just, exactly what they were looking for at that moment. But it was heartbreaking to not make it right then and there. And so I relocated back to New York and tried to, capitalize on the training that I had. And then, over the years, just doing my work, busting my tail. And I moved back to Florida. And within a month, I got a call from WWE and an email saying that I was part of a tryout. And I was elated, man. And the tryout went excellent. I did 100% of what I could do to the best of my ability. I was very proud of my performance and what I did. It just wasn't the time, I guess. I mean, sometimes it's casting. Sometimes it's what they're looking for. Right place, right time. But I know for a fact that, I did the best that I could, and you never know what the future holds. I mean, I never knew I was going to be wrestling Braun Strowman at the Barclays Center. It's all good, man. So when the time is right, I just been looking forward to enjoying life,
Exactly. And we got to say, you've come a long way, because correct me if I'm wrong, you got into the sport of pro wrestling, back in the late 2000s, like 2008.
Yeah, it was the end of 2007. I began training, so it was November, the end of November, and the tail end going into December of 2007. But yeah, 2008 was my first formative year in wrestling. That's correct.
So you're close to coming up on 10 years. So I mean, that's a really good testament to from when you started off to where you are now. If that isn't a testament to stay diligent, stay positive, always stay hungry and focused, I don't know what is.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that. You always got to, be the hardest worker in the room. You see The Rock says it a lot too. I firmly agree with that.
Yeah.
And always be prepared.
Right, exactly. Now, WWE, NXT, they continue to tour more and more domestically. They're starting to pick it up internationally. And there's been a lot of fans that support indie wrestling that's worried if WWE may force some of their favorite promotions to go out of business. When you hear that type of concern from the fans, do you think they are on to something possibly, or do you think they have it all wrong?
I'm not going to, tell anybody they're wrong. I have their opinion. But I can say is that if you're good enough and you have the resiliency and the will, then, nobody can stop you. So, no, I don't think so. I don't even think it's in WWE's way of doing things to put anybody out of business. It's just, the strong survive, man. And like you were saying before, like if I could speak on what you were saying about me before, it's like after 8 years, like, a lot of people give up and quit. Like, I'm not a quitter by any chance. The only thing that's going to stop me is death. And, I'm still breathing, Lee. So if they're afraid they're going to go out of business, that's their own problem. Like, work hard, man. Be different. Separate yourself from the crowd. I don't think, no. And like I said, WWE is not in the business of doing that. And I reckon that question to, heck, a wrestling match or an amateur wrestling match, you got to stay in your own mind on your own game. And the minute you start worrying about your opponent, you're lost. Me, I've always focused on me. And that's not an arrogant thing, a cocky thing. It's the necessary thing that you need to do. And I think that's a lot of the reason why when the opportunity presented itself, I was successful, because I stood in my own game. I've had a lot of unnecessary and unsuccessful at that detractors. And it's never, brought me down. It's only made me more hungry, more motivated, more strong. So no, I'd say to any promotions out there, first thing I'd like to say is book Johnny Knockout. But the second thing I would like to say is, if you feel confident enough, then you'll be fine. Just, keep your head above water and keep kicking, even if you got a doggy paddle. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Speaking of various promotions and all that, I was messing around on your YouTube channel, and it's nice to,
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I love it. It's nice to come across somebody like who is just like me when it comes to what is up with these reaction videos. 'Cause like, I'm trying to describe to people what they are, and they're like, wait a minute, so you're watching somebody watch something on TV and react? Like, are they doing color commentating like a baseball game? And you're like, nah, they're just like watching it, and you're like, well, okay, whatever.
Weird.
But I actually enjoyed yours. Yours was actually like the first reaction video that I watched in its entirety, and I love the fact. Yeah, cause like I just
You hear that, promoters? I can keep his attention forever.
Like I love getting your take on the whole Matt Hardy. I mean, you gotta admit, like, as long as he's been in this, and you did admit it in your video, but like, isn't it surreal when you think about it? Like, as long as he's been in the game, this is like the absolute, like, most hottest that he's been right now. Yeah.
And a lot of people, first of all, I would like to say that if anybody wants to check out what Lee and I are discussing right now, that you can find that at youtube.com, The Real JKO. And, yeah, man, when I first saw it, I won't get too into it so that people could actually go and watch the video for themselves. But when I first saw Matt Hardy's transition, I was like, what is this guy doing? Right. But you know something? I looked at it, and that's exactly the reaction you need. It doesn't matter what you say in return. It's the reaction. Mm-hmm. It's the reaction. As long as you're getting that reaction, you're onto something. And you know something? At first, I thought I was trying to take it too literal. Like, it doesn't sound, what is this accent, Right. That's the whole point of it. He's like, I think, I can only assume I'm not him, but it's working, man. It's working, and I find it hilarious. One of my favorite shows is Impractical Jokers, and like I'll laugh out loud, like louder than any other show, and that's when you know that what you're watching is good content. Mm-hmm. And so I would do the same with him, and I'm like, guys, he's got it. Sometimes it's like listening to a new song, and you're like, I don't know so much about this song. Then you listen to it a few times, you're like, I like this song. Mm-hmm. So yeah, exactly. I'm in the same field. I want to be able to do the same thing for others, and yeah, I appreciate you looking into some of my stuff, and yeah, I'm glad. I mean, it was like a 18-minute video, and if you're saying you were entertained throughout, awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely. The first reaction video that I watched in its entirety, I was like, let me see what this is about, and I was happy. Now, I want to follow up on something that you just touched upon, because this is actually a good segue. I would love it if you could give some solid advice to any up-and-coming wrestlers on the importance of building a relationship with fans, being entertaining and getting some type of a reaction, because you know that we have those up and coming wrestlers that think it's all about getting on TV and just knowing how to do moves. And to the point, I actually got into one debate with a very young, I mean, probably 17 years of age, up and coming wrestler.
Was it a master debate?
Was it a master debate?
Oh, okay. So it's just a regular exhibition trial debate. I get it. Okay, that's cool.
Something like that, yeah. But no, I got into a debate with this young up-and-coming wrestler about building upon career longevity with fans through personality and showmanship, being entertaining and connecting with fans, getting some type of a reaction, because if you don't get any reactions, you simply won't last that long. And I tell you, we have a lot of young listeners, especially that's really strongly considering going into wrestling, or they already are a wrestler. What input, advice can you give to them thinking about what we just said there?
Do it. Get into it. If it's what you love to do, do it. Mm-hmm. When I started out, when I was young, I had so many people saying, oh, go get a city job. Oh, go do this, go do that. I'm like, I want to do what I love to do. And I've always been a rebel. You know, I'm a loner, Dottie. I'm a rebel. Pee Wee Herman. And so, yeah, what I would give advice, if I could be, because I had to be my own support system growing up a lot of the time. I would say almost every time, you know, and you'd be amazed at, you know, the people I thought that were supposed to be supportive were trying to turn me away. I'm like, and I hear all these stories about people saying, oh, you know, I had my mom and dad support and all that, and I had an uncle that loved me and gave me support. I didn't have any of that. I had so many people down talking. So, you know something? I've always been okay that was the case, but looking back in hindsight, I wouldn't have it any other way. But if I could be a support system, or if I could give some good advice, hell, if the kid wants to listen to it in the first place, if you could take your iPod off and listen for a second, stop looking at your phone and texting, then I would say this: go after what you love, man, and give it a shot. And if it's something that you feel like, okay, well, I gave it a shot, and maybe I don't like it as much as I did, hey, you're not going to look back later in your life and say, oh, woulda, coulda, shoulda, you know? Mm-hmm. And the biggest regret we have is the chances that we didn't take. So that's C.S. Eliot. So in the end, what we regret most are the chances we didn't take. I could say to you, Lee, in full honesty, I have never, ever was met with a chance that I didn't take. And yeah, I mean, you're going to hear no a lot. You're going to hear a lot of rejection, but it's what you do, you know, with that. You have the passion to get back up and keep doing it. Wrestling is tough. A lot of people look at wrestling, oh, it's this, it's that. Yeah, why don't I body slam you one time? The first time I took a bump, I had an instant headache. An instant headache. The first time I took a body slam, I thought I cracked the rib. Literally thought I cracked the rib. I'm like, oh, well, there that goes. After one of my first practices, I had to crawl back to the train station. It was about a half a mile to a mile away. I literally was crawling back to the train station. But I kept coming. I don't touch any. I would say keep yourself healthy. Don't touch anything. I can't really tell people what to do with their lives, but I could just try to advise them in the right decision. I never touched anything. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in drugs and stuff of that nature. I don't even take Advil, okay? I didn't even take Tums when I had heartburn because I thought it was something, and it turns out it's calcium, so now I love them. But I would say, you know, I threw on a little Ben Gay, and I was just like, oh, okay, you know what? I don't even want that. I got to tough this out. It's going to be tough, kids. But if it's something you want to do, I say give it a shot. Be the hardest worker, outperform everybody else, and there's nothing wrong with that. You want to be the best, all right? Don't do it with an air of arrogance, though. Be confident and be respectful to everybody. And that's another thing I want to say, Lee, is that, you know, over 8 years I've been wrestling. I've been nothing but respectful and a good guy to everybody I come into contact with, and I would never change that. Mm-hmm. But I haven't always been met, for the most part, I haven't always been met with that in return. It's a very tough business to be a part of. You know, you're not always going to get that in kind, but you stay true to you. So if there's a kid, if I could change one person's outlook or give that one person support, I'd say, man or girl, you know, go after it. Be the best that you can be. Stay in your own game, and don't let anything stop you. And I know it sounds trite, but it's true. All right? And, just let the challenges build you stronger. That's what I would say. Was that good?
That's good. No, good. You hit it all.
They might have to rewind it and listen to it.
You hit it all. You very, very valid good points right there. So what do you have next? Like, how can folks stay connected? I want you to plug away, let them know where they can check you out and all that.
Oh, my specialty. All right. Shameless plugging time. Yeah. I'm rubbing my hands together right now. It's funny because you ever watch TV or do you ever watch TV? I mean, come on now. Or YouTube, right? Everything is a commercial. Everything is an advertisement. It's just like when I was in high school, I had this one teacher says, I'm convinced that TV is just so people can advertise. It has nothing to do with TV shows. The TV shows are the filler. So I don't think that was the way it was Monday night at the Barclays Center when I faced Braun Strowman. When Johnny Knockout faced Braun Strowman and admitted he loves big sweaty men. But wait, where was I going with this? I'm talking about big sweaty men. I'm getting all excited. Yeah, let's plug, man. If you want to see me in video action through the video scope, as the Macho Man used to say, you can go to youtube.com, The Real JKO. That's JKO for Johnny Knockout. Facebook, it's newly opened, so we're working on getting more friends up. By the way, I want to say that because I got rid of the old Facebook and Twitter, I had to start from scratch. So I got to get my Pro Wrestling Tees store up, and they need at least 5,000 combined followers to do that. So, yeah, I'm going to have to do them by hand for now until I can get that shop up. But rest assured, Big Sweaty Men T-shirts will be a thing. So I want you guys to join the Big Sweaty Men's Club. Oh, yeah. I like how you said that. Almost sound like Barry White.
Man.
I'm going to have to light a candle, man. And, okay, so Facebook.com, The Real JKO. Instagram, @RebelJKO. And Twitter, @John_Knockout. And it's funny because when I started, I had a bunch of people saying, "Oh, is this the real you?" I'm like, I don't know. What do you want me to do? Send a Johnny Knockout bat signal? Like how? I mean, contact me. And if people want to contact me or get me on the phone for bookings, I could do it all. I don't care if it's TV. I don't care if it's radio. I mean, I do care. I'm not trying to be rude to you, Lee. I care if it's radio, TV, an appearance, a wrestling match, a sports entertainment match, anything you want, I could do it. And you could book all Big Sweaty Men Johnny Knockout bookings at, so it's jknockout@hotmail.com. That's the letter J, knockout@hotmail.com. And I got a question for you, Lee. You know why I chose Hotmail?
Yeah, why Hotmail? Oh, no.
Because I'm a hot male.
I just walked into that.
That's
I caught
right.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Ow. Ow. Johnny's a hot male. Like Big Sweaty Men, he's a hot male. And
oh gosh.
I appreciate you letting me shamelessly plug so much.
No, it's no problem. No problem.
You have a friend for life.
And any listener that might have missed all that, don't worry. This will actually, all the information that he just provided, it'll be in the episode description for you guys to check out. Dude, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I would so love it if you
already want to.
If you could do a RCWR show soundbite, I promise you, I would use it. I would use it. However you want to spin it, hey, this is Johnny Knockout. You're checking out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. I mean, just do your spin, man.
You got it. You want a countdown or just whatever? I'm ready. Okay, I got this. Ready?
3, 2, and 1.
This is Killer Instinct, Johnny Knockout, and you're listening to the RCWR show with the biggest, the sweatiest, the manliest radio host of them all, Mr. Lee Sanders. So all you big sweaty men out there, get your record button out and save the show. I'm Johnny Knockout. Just sit back and enjoy the show.
My man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. One more time.
Thank you.
Well, no, thank you. We appreciate that. One more time, guys, we want to give you those links again. Again, it'll be in the episode description, but I know there's probably those of you that's going to be listening, and you probably have a pen and paper. So one more time, if you want to get in contact with Johnny Knockout for any booking, event, podcast, media, whatever, your respective wrestling event, promotion, you can reach him at jknockout@hotmail.com. youtube.com/The Real JKO, Instagram, that's instagram.com/Rebel JKO, facebook.com/The Real JKO. Make sure you put THE in there now. I don't want you guys getting a misdirect. I actually just befriended you on Facebook there, Johnny. And Twitter. I see Twitter, twitter.com/John_knockout. And then I see, looks like a website, jakeknockout.wix, as in Xmen.com/Johnny Knockout. And again, all that will be in the episode description for you guys to check out. Johnny, thanks so much. Definitely got to do this again, man.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, Mr. Lee Sanders. It's been a really fun interview, and I look forward to sharing it on all those Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and the Wix pages. And I'm sure I'll mention it on a future YouTube video as well. Thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it. It's been great.
Thank you.